It's now time for the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, iTunes, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. Mike brings you great guests and interesting people from all across the globe. So sit back, relax, and enjoy another great episode of the Mike Wagner Show.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition rate. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, and over 35 podcast platforms. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Also follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with a wonderful gentleman out of the Boston area. He's got a debut album out by his given name here. He's got the number 7 in honor of Colin Kaepernick. He's wearing a San Francisco 49ers t-shirt here. Yeah, that's right. Colin Kaepernick.
Showing the love. That's right.
And of course, he's a father, husband, activist, and also union garbage man as well, too. And taking out the trash and getting ready for everybody, but does a great job at it. He wrote songs at the age of 14, son of Iranian immigrant and French-Canadian mother. And he's got a couple of songs we'll be playing tonight. And ladies and gentlemen, live from Boston, and the very talented Muhammed Seven. Muhammed, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Pleasure, Mike.
Hey, great. Okay. And so you basically lived in Boston for quite some time. You wrote songs at the age of 14. You're a son of Iranian immigrant and French-Canadian mother. You're father, husband, activist, union garbage man, and more. And let me ask you, how many children do you have?
Just the one. He turned 7 this weekend, actually. Speaking of 7.
You say 7 years old, or?
He's 7 years old. That's right.
Oh, happy birthday.
First grader. Thank you.
Very appropriate as well, too. And before we can get to more of your good stuff here, tell us how you got started music-wise.
Sure. Well, I fell in love with music as a young child, and found that the questions I had about life and the various ways that I tried to find my place in the world, music really helped me work out answers. And from as early as I can remember, I wanted to make music. And then at 14, my mother bought me my first guitar, and I haunted the halls of the high school trying to learn that thing. And from there, it was history. I spent quite a long time kind of grinding in the local scene and as a songwriter and trying to hone my craft. And after many years of working hard at it, good things started to happen. So in the last couple of years, I stopped being a solo act and put together a band. We're called Muhammed Seven in the spring. And we made our debut studio record came out a year ago today, and has been really well received. So I'm pleased with that. And, love my band, love being up on stage with them. Love when crowds afterwards and, express that they felt like they experienced something special. And we've got about 2 months to get out of the house and into the studio to record.
That is amazing as well, too. And what was the one moment that influenced you into what you're doing today? What was that precise aha moment for you?
It's a good question. Well, about 10 years ago, I had been an artist for a long time, but my confidence level was pretty low. And it felt like I had, really fought hard to make things happen for myself and fought hard to feel good about what I was doing. And it was just this endless cycle of boom and bust. And so I decided I either needed to really give it an honest chance, really believe in myself and try something, or I should give up and stop torturing myself. And so a close friend of mine, guy who's in Missoula, Montana, called Chris Sand, goes by Sandman. He's a hero among songwriters. He invited me to open for him on a tour that spanned 30 states in 3 months. And we had just it was a remarkable experience for me. It was a masterclass, all those hours in the truck in terms of songwriting and stage performance. And I think that was really the moment that took me from being somebody who really dreamed of being a songwriter and a singer and really wanted that to that being within my grasp. So I credit him with that.
It sounds like an amazing transformation you had. And who are some of your favorite artists, musicians, singers, and guitarists growing up?
Well, growing up, my first love was the Beatles. I was born in 1977, so it was just the period after they were actually playing. But they are a huge influence on me. My mom was a big country music fan, so I grew up listening to Kenny Rogers and all. She was also a fan of folk from the 60s and 70s, so singer-songwriters like James Taylor and Cat Stevens. And then, but then also I was a teenager in the grunge era, so Nirvana and Pearl Jam had a huge effect on me, as did the hip-hop of that era, Tupac and underground bands like Dead Prez. So a real diversity of influences, but certainly a lot of the acoustic music from the 60s and 70s.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like you got a really good deal as well, too. And we'll talk about your debut album as well as playing a couple of songs for us. But first, listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition rate. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, and over 35 podcast platforms. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Also follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with singer, songwriter, guitarist, musician Muhammed Seven here on the Mike Wagner Show. He's got his debut album right now, and he talked about how he got started, his biggest influences, and also your mother and father came to the country as well too, and your dad's the son of an Iranian immigrant, and your mom's French Canadian, and tell us how they met and came to this country. Sounds like an interesting story.
Sure, yeah. My dad moved here from Iran in 1975. I was born in 1977. My mother was born here in the U.S., but most of her ancestry comes from Nova Scotia and French Canada, and they met in Buffalo at college.
Oh wow, Buffalo! Amazing.
I spent some of my formative years there. It's the place I love a lot.
Okay, so you were born in Buffalo, and when did you end up moving?
I was born here, but I did live there for some years. I'm sorry, what was your question?
No, I said, but you were born in Buffalo. But how long have you lived in Boston?
I was born in Boston, but I did live in Buffalo for some of those years. And then most of my life, though, I've lived here in Boston, the vast majority. Actually, I lived in France for 1 year of my life, and I chased the woman I'm now married to the West Coast, to Olympia near Seattle, to convince her not to break up with me, and we're married now, so that worked out well. Otherwise, I've been here the whole time.
That's amazing as well, too. And you got your debut album called M7 as well, too, or Muhammad Seven. And you also had Gambler's Crush, Sour Cherries, and more. And tell us all about your debut album.
Yeah, well, after that tour that I mentioned, I leveled up my songwriting and had a new crop of songs that I felt pleased with. But after the tour, my wife and I got married, and right after that, she got pregnant with our son. So, working and being a parent of a small child, there wasn't a lot of time to make a record, but I had all this material. So I decided to make my debut album, my very first album, on my iPhone. There's software on the iPhone where you can,
nice.
Basically. So I made a really, to my knowledge, no one has made a really sophisticated 10-track album of folk music just on their phone. But I did that and was pleased with it, and didn't expect too much to come out of it, but it made it onto NPR radio station, and my local newspapers picked it up and said kind things, and I think that was just enough encouragement. Somehow that was just enough to give me a boost into writing what became a big leap, the best stuff that I really had ever written, and that's what's on our debut studio album that I made with The Spring as Muhammed Seven in the Spring. And so it's those 10 tracks. You mentioned a few of them. And it's sort of an exploration. I like to talk about that album as a love letter to the immigrant working class. It's an album that talks about struggle, that talks about love, that talks about oppression and liberation. And, it's also just deeply personal.
Mm-hmm. And what was it like for your parents to be growing up in their native countries as well, too? The struggles, the living and everything else. And what was it like for them in their native countries?
It's a really good question. Well, again, my mom was actually born here. She's never lived in Canada. Certainly she was no stranger to struggle in terms of the way that she grew up, and she fought hard to make a good life for herself, and is a remarkable woman. And, my dad moved here just before the 1977 Islamic Revolution in Iran, which is a complicated moment. It represents the break between when the Shah of Iran, who was an oppressive autocrat in his own right, was ousted from power and replaced by the Ayatollah, who was a new oppressive autocrat of a different stripe. It's been a difficult 100 years for people around the world, but in Iran in particular, and that absolutely had an impact on my father, and as a result, had an impact on me. I have a song on that debut record called 79 Revelations, and it is I'm making reference to the 79 Revolution, and the song is ultimately it's about the way that I see the world through the lens of that moment in history. Mm.
It sounds like it too. And did you feel like playing that today? Do you want to play a couple songs for us? Like, was it Woodstone Wine and Quarantine as well too? Or if you want to throw in some others, go ahead and play for us.
That sounds good. Well, since I wasn't planning on playing 79 Revelations, but since we were talking about it, I'm happy to do that. So I've got you on my headset audio. Can you hear my voice and guitar well enough through that?
Absolutely. Loud and clear. So here we go. 79 Revelations from Muhammed Seven here on the Mike Wagner Show.
After 1,000,000 years of human evolution and 100 hours of sacred recitation, now that hate and anger are an institution, I've had 79 revelations. And after all this international pollution and a lifetime of religious consecration, when the mother comes to take her retribution, we'll have 79 revelations. 79 revelations. And when you're broken and bent and all your money is spent, just think of me. And when you drown in despair and feel like nobody's there, when you open your eyes, you'll see that all the politicians bent on abolitions ain't worth a nickel in my humble estimation. Even if I'm only bound for destitution, I'll have 79 revelations and a lifetime of your chronic inhibitions. Melt away with every little exhalation. Everybody needs a little intermission. I need 79 revelations. 79 revelations. And when I couldn't find a suitable solution, I traded all my recipes for incantations. When you finally come to terms with evolution, you'll have 79 revelations. 79 revelations. 79 revelations.
Oh, Oh, that's fantastic. Muhammed Seven with 79 revelations here on the Mike Wagner Show. And can we add in one more revelation to make it 80, or is that not possible?
I think that's up to you as the listener.
Okay, well, we can do that too. And we'll also have you play one of the songs involving the latest pandemic involving quarantine and more. But first, listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Look on a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@SonicWebStudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and over 35 podcast platforms. Take the Mike Wagner Show on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Also follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with singer, songwriter, guitarist Muhammed Seven here on the Mike Wagner Show. We talked about his debut album and talked about some of the songs on his debut album, and also sang one of his songs, 79 Revelations, talking about his upbringing and also his father being son of an Iranian immigrant and coming to the United States. And also we have a song coming up involving the latest quarantine as well, too, in the pandemic. And tell us about your next song.
Sure. So this song isn't actually about the pandemic and quarantine, but I did write it in quarantine. It's one of my newest songs. And so I'll take a little bit of a chance because, with these songs that you haven't played 1,000 times, there's always a risk of screwing it up. But but I'm excited to give it a try. So let's see what happens. This song is called...
Here we go.
It's called Blue Collar Math. And I'll just say one more thing about it, which is I wanted to write a song. I felt like for so many of us, though there's great division in the country at the moment, for so many of us, we can really agree on some huge things, which are, one, that we're being lied to, regardless of who you think is lying to you. I think so many of us feel that way, that we're being cheated, and that we're being misinformed. So this is a song that speaks to our unity on that front. Blue Collar Math. You got 1,000 ways to take my money, and there's only one way to make it. You found 100 ways to call me dummy, and I've been dumb enough to take it. And there's a dozen ways to say it's sunny, but it ain't like the rain to fake it. I don't think you understand. You messing with the wrong man. All your insults plus your injuries are a lethal combination, and your promises are empty like a zero-sum equation. You say good things come to those who wait, but I was never all that patient. I don't think you understand. You're messing with the wrong man. If it generates a profit, you'll say 2 + 2 is 5. I could make a couple dollars if I make it out alive. You assumed I wasn't smart enough to do your math at first, but I think I figured out this time just what my life is worth. I heard a rising tide's gonna help both sides, but my little boat's capsizing. You say it all adds up, but the economy's stuck and my plus has turned to minus. Still your bottom line keeps multiplying while my country stays divided. I don't think you understand. You're messing with the wrong man. Oh, America, you're beautiful, but I don't think you love us. You still think in black and white, but I see things in color. And you may not meet our gazes, but you'll know us by our numbers. I don't think you understand. You're messing with the wrong man. If it generates a profit, you'll say 2 + 2 is 5. I could make a couple dollars if I make it out alive. You assumed I wasn't smart enough to do your math at first. But I think I figured out this time just what my life is worth. You got 1,000 ways to take my money, and there's only one way to make it. You find 100 ways to call me dummy. I've been dumb enough to take it. And there's a dozen ways to say it's sunny, but it ain't like the rain to fake it. I don't think you understand. You're messing with the wrong man. I don't think you understand. You're messing with the wrong man.
That's a fantastic song. Messing with the Wrong Man from Muhammed Seven here on the Mike Wagner Show. And what inspired you to write that song?
Well, so that's the title actually of that song is Blue Collar Math.
Blue Collar Math.
I was trying to both celebrate the intelligence of working people, for one, and two, just, the thing I was saying before the song, just trying to connect the dots between how so many of us feel like we're being lied to, we're being misinformed, we're being threatened, and that just on different sides of the aisle, we have different ideas about who's doing the lying and the misinformation and the threatening. But ultimately, I think we have a lot in common in spite of our differences here in the United States and across the world.
Mm-hmm. And that's very prevalent as well, too, the way things are going, and a nice bridge and getting people to understand. And also, what do you have coming up in 2020 as well, too, for songs, and what can we expect from you?
Yeah, well, I'm really thrilled that I have 2 albums worth of material that I'm excited about, that I think is great. And one of them is sort of a smaller singer-songwriter album. And the other one will be a big full band album that my band, until COVID hit, we were out playing live, just trying to sharpen those songs so that we're ready to get them into the studio. So stay tuned. Certainly, those 2 albums should be in the works in the near future. And in the meantime, our debut studio record is streaming everywhere.
Sounds great. And who do you consider biggest influence in your career?
My biggest, honestly, my biggest influence is probably the guy I mentioned, Chris Sand, Montana's rapping cowboy, the Sandman. He's my song editor. He's been an inspiration as one of my favorite artists, and just a great guy. He's always there to catch me when I fall. So, you got to have friends.
That's amazing. And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
My best advice is don't give up. Whether you're a musician, an artist, or whatever it is in your life that you care about, if you have come to feel like you've missed the boat, or it's out of your reach, I know that for me, my dream of being a successful musician, and by my definition, successful is just the person who gets to do the thing that they love, and that's right now I get to make music, and for me that's a success. I wouldn't have gotten even to here had I not decided not to give up over and over and over when the discouragements and what seemed like failures set in. So that's what I'd say. Just don't give up. You can do anything.
Mm-hmm. And that's the best advice you can give as well, too. Once again, Muhammed Seven here on the Mike Wagner Show, singer, songwriter, and guitarist out of Boston with his debut album as well, too, and more coming up in 2020 and beyond. And I'd like to thank you for your time. You've been fantastic. Looking forward to having you again soon. And before we go, tell us once again your upcoming projects, what's your website, how do people contact you, where can people purchase or listen to your music?
Absolutely, yeah. So all of those things can happen through the website. It's Muhammed7.com. That's MuhammadSeven.com. That'll take you to our official music videos on YouTube. That'll bring you to our album streaming on Spotify, Apple Music, and everywhere else. That'll bring you to our online store where you can buy awesome T-shirts, trucker hats, CDs, and also you can contact me through the website. So Muhammed7.com.
That's amazing. Muhammad, thank you very much for your time. You've been fantastic. Looking forward to having you in soon. Do us a favor, keep us up to date. We'd love you to have back on 2020 and beyond. You've been fantastic.
That'd be great. Thanks for having me, Mike.
Thanks for listening to the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, YouTube, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and themikewagnershow.com. Please support our program with your donations at themikewagnershow.com. Join us again next time for another great episode of The Mike Wagner Show.